everybody. Thank you for joining us at Down at the Crossroads. I'm Sean Sellers with
David Humphrey.
Jake Bell.
All right, we've got a really fun show tonight, and you know, Hump's been working on it. He's excited. I've been working on it. Jake is gonna, I guess, mediate and ask questions.
I'm gonna actually do my job and produce.
Oh,
Yay.
yes. You know, our topic tonight, Hump, you might have to help me with this disclaimer. It's going to be a topic that a lot of people might take an offense to, but I want you to kind of look at it as a fun topic and be open to it. You know, like I always say when you speak at different paranormal events and so on, is that it's important to be open to change, willing to change your beliefs. That's the fun thing about exploring and looking into things. And this is a subject that I don't remember how we got on the topic, but when we got on it and I started looking into it, I was amazed.
Well, we've been talking about it for, we off and on for a few months, but you're right. This topic's going to be controversial. It may piss you off. We're definitely going to push the edge of our show, but it's something that we all three did our individual research on.
Us too.
Okay, I'm sorry. Me and you, Sean.
Yeah.
Me and you, we did all the research on it. But what I want to tell our listeners is do your own research. Find your own truth. There's only one truth, and seek and you shall find. Now, with that being said, Sean, do you want to go into what we're going to talk about tonight?
We're going to talk about Prince's death. And when it first came up, we was going to talk. I think I was kind of leaning toward the thing, was Prince murdered or not? And I've always kind of, even when it first happened, the first thing I thought about was Prince was murdered. But it kind of took it down a different road, and I know it's taking me down a different road. And one thing about this show is that Hump and I hadn't even talked about what we've gotten, so we might have two total different things, and I don't even know where to begin with it. But we're going to let Hump kick it off, and we'll go from there.
All right. First of all, I'm not going to tell you that Prince was a Satan worshiper in a cult, but with my own and individual information and investigation, this proves that he had certain elements into his music. Between the early 80s, 81, 82, it was the shock scene maybe, such as Marilyn Manson, of course Alice Cooper in the 70s. He had his own little thing going of shock music. To say the least, he also was very knowledgeable in the occult. And if you don't believe that, start breaking down his albums, his music, his songs, and really, really, get into it, because I'm going to blow your mind tonight. I've taken two songs, broken it down completely in what my interpretation of the meaning is, and this was solely on me of what I've investigated, and it's going to blow your mind. You got to have an open mind, and you got to really listen to the two songs that we talk about later. Also, I will throw this out there real quick. When you start singing and you bring in verses of do whatever you want as long as nobody gets hurt, you really start breaking into the Anton LaVey Church of Satan rules, supposedly. That's one of the main rules that they have with the Church of Satan. Another thing that he pushed in the 1999 Controversy tour, and it's funny, he's done it his whole career. How can you use the word God and motherfucker in the same line? And it was okay for him to do it. And if you think about, his songs were good and evil, lots of sex. That breaks into the sex magic, the occult using sex. But what I'm going to say, and then I'm going to let Sean do his thing, and then we're going to go back. I want you to think about what we're talking about tonight, and the phrase, the song "Darling Nikki" off the Purple Rain album. When somebody says "Old Nick" or refers, to the phrase "Old Nick, Old Bang," I know King Diamond uses it a lot. They're referring to Satan. They're going to refer to Satan, and I want you to think about it. Keep that open mind, because this is so interesting. Sean?
All right. Now, when I started investigating and looking into it, the first thing that kind of caught my, I knew Prince was coming out talking about the chemtrails, kind of talking about the Illuminati a little bit, and I knew at that time that Prince actually sued for his musical rights. And the day Prince died, the Queen turned 90 years old, and she was actually in Washington, D.C. she was wearing purple, and she actually announced that Prince Charles wouldn't be the predecessor; he'd be one of the prince's children. And then I started, of course, I like conspiracies, and of course, I kind of started trying to look down the conspiracy role and everything, and where it went from there. And then you started hearing about Prince was acting sporadic the day after, regards to the medicine. They was looking into it. Rumors came out that Prince had AIDS, but he just got done doing 2 shows in one night before he got on the airplane, and everybody said he was perfectly fine. And then right before he died at his house, he did a show, like a private show, and everybody said he was in great shape, good spirits, and no problems. And then, and as I started kind of going down it and looking into it, I started seeing things that crazy rumors and stuff, like Prince was in actually direct bloodlines with Jesus Christ. Have you seen that?
I did not see
yes,
that. No.
Yes, bloodline, and it comes back to the album Purple Rain with the different things, where the rain spelled with purple, and with the song Nikki. That's some of the crazy rumors. But what really got me just blown away, I was a big fan of Dave Chappelle. And I remember the Dave Chappelle episode when they was talking about him playing basketball. You remember that, Jake?
Yeah.
And about how he played basketball in heels, and he could dunk the basketball, how he was amazing, and everybody started saying that's for real. Yeah. That is absolutely real.
And he made him pancakes afterwards.
He made them pancakes after. That's an absolute true story. Then I started looking into like what does certain band members and acquaintances say about him. And then Charlemagne, I don't know what she was connected to him, but he actually said Prince could levitate.
What?
Yeah, Prince could levitate. But see that when I found that, I said what? That Prince could levitate and float across a room. Also, Prince, Sinead O'Connor came out. She came out and started talking about the drugs, about him being on drugs and so on, and that Arsenio Hall was prescribing the drugs. Well, anytime you're dealing with conspiracies and occult stuff, there's always lies with truth, and you have to kind of weed them out. But she started talking about Prince was basically practiced occult magic, and that he can move things with his mind, and he could talk to telepathy. Even some of his former wives, would talk about how he could talk to them with telepathy. And then the story started going more and more down the line, and there was one story where a guy said, I was in the studio one night, and it was one morning, it was 6 a.m, I'm in the studio, and I walked into the main area, and there was Prince with 2 middle-aged white women. And Prince was standing there in all yellow. He had a cane, he had a yellow jacket, just complete yellow all the way down, decked out. He said Prince came up to him, was super nice, shook their hands, he had gloves on, and he would take his hands off. And everybody talks about on his hands how soft they are.
Take his gloves off, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Taking his hands off would be, wow.
Oh God, yeah. He takes his gloves off and shakes hands, and he does that for everybody, and everybody reports about just how soft and unhuman-like his hands feel. And the reason why it stood out to me is my research and looking into Robert Johnson was the stories about his hands, how he could stretch his fingers and play different musics and could hit notes and everything. So that kind of stuck out to me.
Which is, Prince is can rip on the guitar.
Yeah.
And usually with that kind of practice, you build up calluses.
Yes.
Because if your hands are super soft and you're shredding it, it tears your hands up.
And his hands are super soft.
That's pretty weird.
That's pretty weird. Well, the guy says, Prince was really nice to him and his crew, and the guy says, "Can I take a picture?" And Prince says, "I apologize, but no pictures." And the guy said, normally when people deny pictures, that means they don't want to cause a scene, they don't want anything to happen, or you can just be in a douche. Well, what Prince said no. When he turned back around, Prince was levitating and gliding across the studio. He said he took a picture with his phone with Prince's back. He showed the picture to him and his bandmates. They all swear it was there. And as they was looking at the picture went black. Wasn't there. There's another story where a lady said that was in Minneapolis, and she was there touring his house. She was a huge Prince fan, and she was out front of his house. And she said, all of a sudden, while she's parked outside taking pictures, Prince walks out the front door. She said Prince was in all white. He had a cane, he had a hat on, he was in a suit, and he had high-heeled boots. And she said he stared at her across the way as she sat in front of his, it was a compound. She called it his compound, not his house.
Yeah.
That she stared at him, and she said he almost, she could hear him speaking to her. Like, she said, I know this sounds crazy, but this ain't the craziest part of the story. I could hear him telling me hello. I said, I could hear it in my mind. She said, he had a white suit, white hat, white pants, white heel. And she said, all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, he starts sprinting, running. And she's talking about he is running with strides that almost look like a cheetah or an animal, and he is sprinting away, and he disappears. She said, you know this is crazy, but she swears to God this happened. And when you start looking into levitation and different things like that, and those abilities, I know different camps have different points of view, but one thing stands out to me is that when you do conjure work or you are possessed, you have these extraordinary abilities. Where there's been numerous people like Eddie Murphy's brother, so on, that said that Prince can be talking to you, you turn away and look back, and he's completely gone. I mean, he's out of the room. And these are hundreds of people making these comments about him. So him being the mystical side of his practices became more and more popular. And what Hump's fixing to get into is going to take it down the road. And it's strange, I wrote down that song, Darling Nikki, on my notes.
Correct.
And I cannot wait to hear you get into that. So you want to go ahead and get started?
All right, I'm going to help you with your timeline. We're going to do it together, okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because everybody, me and Sean have not even talked this week about other than we had the show set. So this is going to be fantastic. First of all, I'm going to set this up. Prince left Warner Brothers, and I don't know the date because they had contract issues and album issues. And one of the big things were the record company was wanting Prince to slow things down, and they were trying to get marketers to market his music a different way and for each region in the United States and the world, et cetera, et cetera. And basically he come out and went super vocal about the media and the music industries, like he was a slave to them. And if you remember the interview that he did, he wrote slave on his jaw, and he did an interview, okay? And then we're going to speed it up a little bit. In 2009, he was on a talk show, and I can't remember if it was Letterman or The Tonight Show, where he gets into talking about the New World Order, the Illuminati, and the depopulation of society, and he was super vocal about it. And then, you know, of course, there were strange things around the death part. But we will go to this. How about this? April 7th, he started canceling shows. The night of April the 7th, he made that show up on the 14th. Okay? So the 19th, he had a small performance with Liz Wright. But 3 days before that, on April the 15th, that's when the plane landed. They were 70 miles from where they were supposed to land, and they landed, and he was treated for overdose. The media, it was a frenzy of media because they started already talking about celebrity death, overdose, because that's what we do now in mainstream society and the media. Soon as a star dies, it's overdose. Okay. Now this is where you got to listen. You got to listen because this is going to be this is going to be very useful in a little while. On April the 21st, he was unresponsive in an elevator at his home. Okay? In an elevator at his home. At 9:43, they called EMS, started CPR, and he was pronounced dead at 10:07. Okay? Y'all with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. So throughout the month, it come out that he had AIDS, he had the flu, we stopped shows. He was given a save shot, supposedly, the opiate save shot. Now, why would you if you had AIDS, why would you give that shot? Blah, blah, blah. What was he really taking? And I mean, it is fascinating.
But the crazy thing about the hospital is that they told him they didn't have a private room for him. You know, there was rumors that the hospital tried to say, well, Prince wanted a room for his entourage, but that was proved false. That the hospital didn't have a private room for Prince. How crazy is that?
I mean, lies.
And the other thing, Hump, too, you mentioned about the elevator. You know, he was found dead in the elevator, right?
Correct.
You know, L.A. Reid did an interview after his death, and you know, Prince was scared of the elevator, and the elevator was symbolic of the devil to him, so
Hey.
he could carry you up and down.
That's right.
I don't want to get ahead of
Hey,
you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Ding, ding, ding. You're right. Now, do we want to? Let's go into what is the symbol. After he left Warner Brothers, started Paisley Park, he come out as a symbol. Do y'all know what that symbol truly means?
Well, I saw it, but I don't remember what is it.
Okay, you have the male and female with the cross with a triangle at the bottom, and it's like the tail. Correct? Y'all with me?
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all know that that's Aleister Crowley, Luciferian? It's man and woman, but if you noticed on all the where he has the symbol, it's always crooked a little bit. And marketings and all his people in his entourage and the people that made the records and stuff, they go, why the symbol's not straight? And he goes, that's right. You know why? Men and women are not perfect. That's not a perfect symbol. But we're going to break the symbol down a little bit because it's funny. It has some of that Led Zeppelin secret stuff, secret society stuff, and meanings into the symbol. So we got man and female. But we also, he was so smart, it also could be sex versus religion in it. Has anybody ever thought about that? Sex versus religion, the love symbol, the peace sign, the heart and the all-seeing eye, that's Masonic symbolism.
Yeah, but but at the same time, he always showed the all-seeing eye. But right before he died, he had those shades on, or whatever it was, with that had the all-seeing eye covered up.
Correct.
And then, did you see that part? And right,
where he covered it up?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So he has signs and symbols throughout all this stuff. And you're right, when he wrote slave on his face.
But and something else, he did that sign deliberately to be imbalanced. Because he don't want everything perfect. And that's going to go into when we break the songs down, and you got to think about that. And everything's right there in your face. And it's like, hey, that's a great pop song, but what's the real meaning of it? His love symbol was basically, to me, the allegiance of the order, of his order or his thoughts or what he was putting out secretly. We know he loved the women. We know he used that to some sort of power. Like he had all these sex and all this different stuff. And in sex magic, you can use that energy and and grow and feed off of it. I mean, are y'all with me?
I'm with you. And you think about everything we've telling you, and like with the stories and everything, with the artists that's selling their soul to the devil, that's dealing with the occult. A lot of the things people don't realize that Prince had 2 children that was lost. His first child was born with a rare skull deformity, and that wasn't ever really brought out and didn't talk about. And then the next one, the wife had a miscarriage and lost the baby. So he had like tons of private tragedies that wasn't talked about.
Correct. And then speaking of his, the bottom part of his symbol, which is a Luciferian ritual magic, Wiccan, neo-pagan, traditional symbol of immortality and completion. I mean, that symbolism is right there in front of us, and it emphasizes on eternity of time and the boundaries of universe. He was super smart, but it's right there in our face. The tail running through is basically, some people say it's the representation of the lion, or it could be the snake.
Yes.
It's your interpretation of what you believe and what you think.
And I hadn't even watched it, and that's something I kind of got up, started reading late this afternoon, was Justin Timberlake when he did the, I guess the Prince, what do you call it? When you do didn't he do a Super Bowl show and he played some Prince stuff? Prince, not Prince. You know what I'm saying? Well, they said that, that symbol came up, but as the symbol moved, it showed like a tail.
Yeah, the tail runs through.
Yeah, but it was the other way around.
Female, okay.
Yeah, where they had the symbol projected on like a screen when it was going.
Yeah.
And some photographer got it where it looked like tail was coming out of Prince.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure our listeners, they're beating us up right now. They probably hate us and all. But I'm going to, check this out. If you really look in the middle of the symbol, it's a Christian cross. Because we're talking about good and evil. We never said that Prince was a Satanist or, but his stuff was very occultish. And this is the information that we've found, that we've researched, that we're giving back to our audience. It's up to you to check it out, to read into it. But also, the Christian cross is in the middle. You know, you got the devil's tail, the down arrow, and you got some of the Luciferian significance in it. It's all mixed up because it's a balancing thing. The sign is not balanced because humans are imperfect. Nobody's perfect. And he was really putting that out in mainstream media, and we all, including us, never really looked at it.
Well, if you go back and just look at his life and look at him and his music and start looking into what everybody's saying, he is very mythical. You know, there's always something kind of off about it. And it's our era.
He really loved symbolism and
Yes.
Visual composition of things, so
Yes.
it would make sense that he would create a symbol like that. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the main reason he created that symbol and legally changed his name to that symbol was to get out of contracts.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the problem too.
He didn't want to be a slave to the music.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
Sean.
the
Absolutely.
problem with his will and stuff that he don't have one is that he wouldn't sign his name to anything. He wouldn't. So there's really not anything with his signature, which I thought was kind of interesting because he was terrified of
It's pretty
everything
cool.
getting sold. Go ahead, Dave.
All right. So are y'all ready to break one song down?
Let's break it down.
All right, audience.
You gotta sing it.
No, completely clear your mind and your thoughts. And I want you to listen to the lyrics versus what I have is the interpretation of what it means.
Okay.
And I mean, I really want you to think about this, okay? All right, so we already noted that Darling Nikki, which when you listen to the song, you're thinking about a prostitute or some kind of, female, that's very sexual, and it's a sexual song, and it's dirty and raunchy. Can y'all agree with that? That's what y'all think the song's about?
I don't remember it.
I don't know that song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It will come, when I read the lyrics,
But
it's
I've
going to
read
come
it,
to you,
yeah,
okay?
yeah.
All right. Noted in the first part of the show, when people talk about Old Bang or Old Nick, they're kind of referring to a Satan, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for, Jake? Is it not
Metaphor?
metaphor maybe? Or they're referring to Satan, but you'd say Old Bang or Old Nick.
Like a euphemism.
It's kind of
almost?
like the slang word for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. And audience, I want you to really listen to these lyrics. I knew a girl named Nikki. I guess you could say she was a sex fiend. I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating with a magazine. Excuse me. She said, "How would you like to spend some time?" And I could not resist when I saw little Nikki grind. When I saw the devil grind with sex magic and the temptation of you doing that, correct? That's my interpretation of that. She took me to her castle and I just couldn't believe my eyes. She had so many devices, everything that money could buy. She said, "Sign your name on the dotted line." The lights went out and Nikki started to grind. Nikki, sign a pact with the devil before you can have all this. Before you have all this and you sign your name on the dotted line, what's the one thing you have to do? You have to die. You have to die. And that verse to me is talking about the eternity, signing your name over. Okay, so we go into the other lyric. The castle started spinning, or maybe it was my brain. I can't tell you what she did to me. My body will never be the same. Ah, her loving will kick your behind. She'll show you no mercy, but she'll show you enough you will go to the grind. Come on, Nikki. That's the lust, the sex magic, the devil talking, fighting that temptation, and also making a choice. I woke up the next morning, Nikki wasn't there. I looked all over and I found was a phone number on the stairs. I said, "Thank you for a funky time. Call me whenever you want to grind. Come back, Nikki, come back. you darling little prince, want to grind, grind, grind. Nikki, how can a prince be a female? And ask yourself this, was the number on the stairwell the mark of the beast or the number? And it was that stairway what Led Zeppelin referred to as the stairway from heaven.
Yeah.
Sometimes the world's a storm. One day soon, the storm will pass and all will be bright and peaceful, fearlessly bathed in the purple rain. Now, is that the guy going through all this and then finding the difference between good or evil or temptation or wanting more of it? Was it so, think about that.
The whole thing with the songs and him selling his soul. I know you got another song to go through too, right?
Yes. This one was probably going to blow your mind.
All right, let's roll with it.
Okay. We've already set the tone that we're talking about good and evil.
Yeah.
Prince was very, occultish, but, he was into all this. Okay. This is the song, Let's Go Crazy.
Okay.
I'm going to do the lyrics and then I'm going to do what I interpret the lyrics to be.
Okay.
And it starts out with good. There's a lot of God and a lot of good in his songs.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of twist to it, and it's how you interpret the song. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life. So we're talking about life and good.
Yeah.
Electric word life, it means forever, and that's a mighty long time. But I'm here to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. Is that him saying that the devil's real, that, you have the eternity, you have to make a choice of good and bad? Okay. A world of never-ending happiness. You can always see the sun day or night. To me, that's eternity.
Yeah.
So when you call up that shrink in Beverly Hills, the one, Doctor, everything will be all right. Instead of asking him how much of your time is left, ask him how much of your mind, baby. Now, is that the drug guy that he's referring to the months before he died? Or is that the devil saying the devil's coming? So you got to really think about that.
I think it's the devil's coming. Go ahead.
Okay. Because in this life, things are much harder than the afterworld. In this life, you're on your own. That's choices, completely free-willed. What are you going to do? Okay. You remember what we talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
And if this elevator tries to bring you down, go crazy, punch a higher floor.
Yep. That goes, you can Google and see that L.A. Reid interview talking about him in the elevators. Go ahead.
All right. If you don't like the world you're living in, take a look around you. At least you got friends. You'll see I called my old lady for a friendly word. She picked up the phone, dropped it on the floor, and is all I heard. Now, when we hear that song, we thought that was sexually innuendos and stuff. I took it a little bit different. I'm thinking that that's some type of stairway to heaven. What is he thinking, good and bad? And then that's not the sexual overtones that we hear in the song. Those were basically the angels screaming at him. We're going to let the elevator bring us down. Oh no, let's go crazy. So he knows that elevator's coming.
Yeah.
Let's go crazy, let's get nuts. Let's look for the purple banana till they put us in the truck. Let's go. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm lost with the purple banana thing. I really don't have anything for it. But when they put us in the truck, is that the morgue truck?
Yeah.
We're all excited, but we don't know why, because we're all going to die. That's the choices you have to make in life. And when we do what's it all for, you better live now before the Grim Reaper comes knocking on your door. Tell me, are we going to let the elevator bring us down? Oh no, let's go crazy. There he's saying again that the Reaper is coming.
Yeah.
That Reaper is coming, and you got these choices of good and evil, and it's basically bringing you down to make to where you're almost going nuts. And then it goes on to the rest of the chorus, and it comes back to where Doctor Everything will be all right. I mean, there goes that drug. Is that doctor the drug guy? Bringing him his drugs. And then at the end of the song, Doctor Everything will be all right. We'll make everything go. Pills and thrills and daffodils will kill. Hang tough, children. He's coming. He's coming. He's coming. Take me away. Now, is that him saying the devil's coming to take your soul? You know, and that's my interpretations of these two songs. And I mean, it does make you think. There is a lot going on with it.
Well, you know, rapper Orlando Brown actually said out in the interview that Prince had it coming. He knew the devil was coming to collect. And he said, if you don't believe that, you can look at his last moments when Prince was out in front of the Walmart walking around, when he was riding his bicycle. He was doing everything he can to trying to shake it off. And you know, one of his Prince's last social media thing was just when you thought it was safe. He posted that. So just like anything, when you sell your soul, we talk about Robert Johnson and so on, you know when the hellhounds are coming. And if you did what he posted on social media, what was happening, he knew that was that the hellhounds was coming. If you're coming from that camp, so now you look at it where you have to make pretty much pick a side. I think, you know, do you think Prince was just on drugs, sick with age or something like that, or do you believe that he sold his soul to the devil and had all these mystical powers, or do you believe that he was involved in the Illuminati and when part of the Project Monarch, whatever it's called?
Yeah, Project Monarch.
Yeah, Project Monarch. Because if you look back in 2010, the Celebrity Deathmatch, Prince Charles killed Prince. And if you go back to 2008, Homer Simpson killed Prince because the record company told Homer he had to do it. So Homer killed Prince that time. So you start dealing with that predictive programming and stuff. And you know, Prince was in tune with everything. You know, it comes down to it. And then you start listening to the aspect and the rumors about his direct bloodline, all of his talents. I mean, you can kind of take it down so many different roads and avenues. Now, Jake, you've been listening to this. Mm-hmm. We can all give our opinions, just like our listeners that have their opinion. What's your opinion on all this?
There's some pretty compelling evidence that something was going on with him that wasn't completely he was
poppy.
On drugs. Because you got a ton of stories about him doing weird crap.
Well, he's mystical.
It's not just the ones you've even listed. I mean,
he's really a mystical artist.
He always made sort of an impression on people, and if you look at him, he doesn't look like he ages.
No.
Think about it. He's had a career since the 70s.
And he also did a lot. He did a lot for the community. He did a lot for the Boys and Girls Clubs. He could play almost every instrument. If I'm not mistaken, he could play every instrument that there is. And he started schools to teach kids on how to play instruments.
Yeah.
And I mean, he gave tons and tons of money back. We're not saying he's a bad guy. We're saying that there's a lot of mystical things in his music that was very occultish.
Well, if you look at the hints that Sean's dropping, a lot of it points to the things that happen when you make that sort of deal, like with the skills that came, like with the levitation, say possession. You don't just kind of do that unassisted. You see what I'm saying? You have to have something.
And he would do it just enough to keep people talking. Like it wasn't like for us from a distance. It wasn't common knowledge, but for everybody in the musical world and everything else, and the few people that had these encounters with him, it's common knowledge that he could levitate, he could read minds, he could see you and disappear. Even on the Saturday night, he was on Saturday Night Live and he jumped off stage, and people in the audience said, "Prince disappeared. What happened?" He did disappear in front of them.
Yeah.
He jumped off stage and disappeared. He had the ability to play all these instruments. He had the ability to capture stuff. And everything he's done and did, he hit him in the lyrics of music, like I'm talking about.
There's some stuff there that at the very least, he was thinking about that symbolism when he wrote it.
Yes.
Because he really
absolutely.
loved playing with those images and evoking certain things in songs.
But let me ask you both of y'all something. Why the latter part of his career did just like the wheels fell off? If you think about the last year and a half of his life,
That comes from someone
And
that
we're talking
hasn't
about-
watched that halftime special recently
I
at the
haven't.
Super Bowl.
Yes.
Oh my God!
What's that?
yeah, I have.
You didn't see him play at the Super Bowl in the
Oh
rain?
yeah,
Oh,
it,
yeah,
it,
we
it
did
was
the
the
rain,
greatest
yeah.
thing. It was the greatest.
It's the
Super Bowl
best.
It was the best one ever. Yeah, absolutely.
But he really hadn't. You know, people don't realize that I didn't realize it until I started getting into this. He has tons and tons of music.
Mhm.
He never stopped recording.
No, he's got a
didn't.
vault.
Never
He
stopped
did, but
recording.
that's why Warner Brothers wanted him to slow down because he did music almost like every day. He could
Yes.
do a song every
Yeah,
day.
he
and
did
he
a
had
song
all
every
of these
forever.
vaults.
Yeah.
And I get that. The record company was wanting him to slow it down because they wanted to take him like they always do these bands, such as one here in the Millbrook, Prattville, Montgomery area, which cut 2 albums that was famous.
Yeah.
Trust Company.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They were a name before Trust Company. The record companies did that.
Yeah.
He didn't want to slow down, and he didn't want them to dictate what kind of music he makes. So he basically was, that's when he come out vocally about the record industry.
Changed his name to that symbol.
Yes, he was tired of it.
But if you know your time is limited, you're gonna want to get your music out.
And then they're talking about all the stuff that's going to come out, and a lot of and
Yeah, there's a
think
new album.
Yeah, there's a new album,
Correct.
and a lot of people were kind of like, "Is it going to be any good?" Because like if you go back to say Grateful Dead, how they did all those vault releases.
Yeah.
Well, some of it was good, a lot of it wasn't. So I mean, like we got to see.
Yeah.
Although I do know that he gained an enormous. I didn't grow up with Prince like y'all did.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, but do you remember when he released that single, but it was Dave Chappelle on the cover?
No.
You don't remember him
I
doing
don't.
that?
Uh-uh.
He released a single that was like something for like breakfast something,
Yeah.
and it was Dave Chappelle with the pancakes on the single. On the
Oh
single
wow!
cover.
No, I did not realize it. But you know too, the cool thing about Prince though, just like the
Yeah.
last show, if he was on drugs, if he had AIDS and all this stuff, he did that show at his Paisley Park compound.
Yeah.
Anytime he did even shows with his friends, he would do an amazing show.
Yeah, he never stopped.
Yeah, he was always an amazing showman.
Like they have in the video they did for Nothing Compares to You, it was him performing the song in the same space that he actually ended up recording the live performance for it. And it was just like the band rehearsing and him, he was giving it.
Yeah.
I mean,
You want me to blow your mind?
yes, go ahead.
How about last month? 2 days before the 2nd anniversary is when the news come out that they were going to release some of the vault music that he had, and he's going to do the original version of Nothing Compares to You on this album. There's supposedly 2 different versions of it.
yeah,
And-
there is.
And they're talking about releasing it in September of this year. They're talking about around September the 28th.
I want to see if it's going to be good. It might be. You never know.
And I just wonder if they're going to call the record Vault.
I don't know. Who knows? It's like when Tupac kept releasing music. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
But what's so bad about Tupac, and it really irritates me because I'm a huge Tupac fan, they took inserts in different like pieces of songs that were all broken up
Yeah. And
to add it to something else and say, hey, that's a new song. No, it's not.
When they
It's
produced
7,
it,
8 new lyric lines.
Yeah.
They add it to some old stuff. And I mean, and somebody's making $1 off of it. Because I'm on this YouTube page of Tupac, of this DJ, and he comes out with new music supposedly like every month there's a new song. And some of it's good and some of it's like, oh man, that's the same lyrics and you got another song on top of it.
Yeah, mashups.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you know, you think about Prince. Prince crossed over so many musical lines and so many different people. What he could play. I mean,
He did. Rocky,
Yeah.
soul, R&B, pop,
You know what my first...
I mean everything.
This is going to date me really hard, but you know my first exposure to Prince First time I think I remember ever hearing Prince.
Really?
Batman.
Hey, y'all ready for this?
Batman.
Sean,
Yeah.
this is going to make us old.
Okay.
My first 2 cassettes I ever bought, guess what they were?
What's that?
Rat Out of the Cellar and Prince's Purple Rain on cassette were the first 2 cassettes I ever bought. And it was at Turtle's Music Shop on Governor Square in
boy.
Montgomery, Alabama, off the Southern Boulevard.
Oh my God!
Yes,
I
sir.
remember Turtles.
Yes, sir.
That is old school
Yes.
there. I forgot about that. That is crazy.
All the cassettes were in glass cases, and they had to open them up, and you had to,
Yeah.
you looked at the cassette.
I got Purple Rain and Batman on vinyl upstairs.
I got Purple Rain on vinyl. I ended up buying it a couple of years ago.
What is it about owning it on vinyl?
I don't know, just to have. I
You
wanted
need
the
to
cover.
have it on vinyl.
I
Even if
wanted
you
the
don't-
cover. That's
Yeah.
all. But yeah, this is crazy between me and Melanie. I think we have 3 copies of the CD.
Yeah, it's just one of those classics.
It is, but it's
Have
funny.
you guys ever seen the movie? I
Yeah.
You know what? I hadn't seen it forever. I almost want to rewatch
It had Morris Day and
I
the
do
Time
too.
in it. Apollonia 6.
Well, you know the movie, but if you talk about Apollonia and stuff, the whole bloodline about the, the Jesus, it's far fetched. But I'm just saying it was kind of funny. But you know the scene about where you would wash your sins in Minnetonka, and about that scene, it's supposedly a ritual. Which I hit all that
That's
stuff
right.
at the end of the at this afternoon. I hit all the good stuff this afternoon about the Jesus. I really want to take some
We're
time
gonna have
and
to
look
watch
into
that movie.
But what's so funny is the Purple Rain he was talking about.
Yes.
Is purple REIGN.
Yeah,
Purple Rain.
yeah.
Yeah.
Meaning the I looked it up
Yeah.
this morning.
Well, purple is like God, and the rain is like God is rain, his
Yes.
rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reign.
Yeah.
The reign of him, of his time. Is that not wild? The purple banana in the song, I still don't really have. I don't have a personal interpretation of it, and I couldn't find any information on it.
Sometimes Prince just likes to play with words.
But that's the thing about the whole occult, that you have to keep in mind that there's lies every time there's truth. You got to
Yeah.
start weeding through everything. But I can tell you this, though. I've seen a lot of unexplainable things over these years, right? And all the stories I've heard, but I can mentally see a lady that's a fan and Prince running away like that. That's something just sinister.
I can too. It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
It would be really creepy to watch, but it makes you laugh.
But like she said, you have to think about it. He's in high heel boots, and that white suit came, and he sprints and had these amazing long strides, and he sprints away. Then you go back to him playing basketball in heels
Which
and
is-
being amazing.
You're gonna have a dream tonight.
Yes.
And he's gonna offer you pancakes.
I
You like a pancake?
would love to eat pancakes with Prince right now.
Yes.
We'd have a lot to talk about,
That's
and you
great.
could talk telepathically.
Yes. Oh.
I think everything to do with Prince, it's an
mystical.
amazing story.
really is.
And somebody who
I
loves
didn't
music,
see all
loves the
this-
history.
Yeah, I didn't see all this coming from him.
I didn't either. Yeah, I missed it. I missed it. But it's opening up a whole new avenues and stuff that I really want to take more time and research and look into. With the music, all these musical artists, the Illuminati, and just how in depth they are with their rituals and their magic. It's something to it.
When you start talking about that, I keep thinking about that documentary An Open Secret, where they talk about the weird pool parties they would have with the
Yeah.
little boys and all that, and think about why you do that with people, like invite them into that, and then you have blackmail material, and you can control things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, Orlando Brown talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
With the rappers being it's turned out gay, holding over
Right.
against their heads and different things like that. He speaks of that a lot.
Well, something else I want to throw out there. The
Which
few
rappers are
weeks
gay?
before the death of Prince,
Yes.
how about towards the end of the show, he goes, wait a few days before you waste any prayers. That was 2 shows prior to his death.
Yeah.
Dang.
And think about this. When things are shady, truth often remains shady, Sean.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot going on. I'm glad we did this show.
I think we can all agree he was a weird dude.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, yeah, he's super weird. Super weird. But his music's
In a
going to
good
live
way.
on forever because we're still talking about it.
And we're going to talk about it more.
We're going to continue to talk about this. And you know, our listeners, these are all our opinions only. You know, you
Please
gotta
don't
come
take
up
it
with,
personal.
I told
you guys really afraid of people getting really mad at you?
no. The
No,
reason
no,
being
not
is when
really.
I was doing my research and I was talking to them about
Yeah.
the interpretations, what the song meant to me, people are like, "Man, you're like, no, that's not it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you need to really listen to the lyrics and think about what's going on with that information that you have." And that's the way I interpret it. That was my interpretations of the song.
Well, if you sit
So
there
don't get mad.
and you think about it and you go, would Prince write in a dual meaning? And you go, yeah, probably.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah.
he would. Would he write something that's we thinking one way and that's a pop song, hey, let's dance.
Yes.
But nobody's listening to the words.
Mm-mm.
Nobody listens to the words. And then some of his songs will almost hypnotize you.
Well, see, that's
Have you ever listened? Hey,
yes, that's
I've
what I
owned
was
it.
thinking. Yeah.
Have you ever listened to really gotten chill, turn a Prince, and it don't really matter which one. You think raunchy sex, very very dirty Prince, and you listen to it and it almost hypnotizes you.
Well,
What?
no.
No, if you listen,
joking.
hey, Purple Rain's a good one.
Yeah,
Listen to Purple Rain from start to finish.
Yeah, but you know what? You made a point. Well, today it was yesterday when I was researching, I started going down the avenue where different songs are actually spells and rituals. And it does give you those subliminal messages and so on, and that's part of it. I mean, there's so many avenues with that, and it got me on my mind thinking about the old timey Conjure albums.
Yeah.
That
It's
we do
just like-
spell work.
Yeah.
Sean, you just said it. The Lake Winnetonka,
Yeah,
that's in part of the middle of Purple Rain where the songs catch on.
yeah.
I mean, think about it. You could really break that down and go this avenue with it. But like I said, these are our opinions alone, and this show is going to get more edgier. We're going to push the envelope. We're not going to be a mediocre podcast.
Uh-oh.
We're not. We're not going to be a mediocre podcast.
I just
Next show, Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich versus Chick-fil-A spicy chicken.
Yes.
I just appreciate everybody listening to our show, taking time out. Send us messages, contact us if you got any questions, comments. Don't attack us on the show.
Our
Be nice.
fragile egos.
Do it.
This is all our fragile egos.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly.
It don't bother me if you want to contact me and tell me what you really thought of the show,
Oh, boy.
or think we're just full of shit. Contact me, please, because this is our opinions on it, and this is what I think this topic was about, and it's a great topic. And like Sean said, we're going to pick more topics like that because he has a arsenal of musicians, bands. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's just not Prince that we can talk about.
Where was that
Okay.
music coming from?
Yeah, did you hear that music?
I
swear I heard
That-
music.
I swear
That
I
was
thought it was
very
the beginning of
creepy.
Purple Rain.
I did too.
Hey,
That's why I was looking around like,
Hey.
did one of y'all play this on your phone
this
to be
is
funny?
really creepy. We have no phones. We're in the middle of a studio.
I'm gonna have to go back
And
and
all of a
record it.
sudden we start hearing music.
I
That's
thought
what
it
I'm
was.
talking
I thought it
about.
was the beginning of Purple
Guys, I'll
Rain.
put it on the video.
I thought it was going to be the outro music.
I was trying to amplify it if I can hear
I
it.
see. I looked at Jake and I thought Jake was playing it on his phone to be
Yeah,
funny to go out on
that's
the
what I
show.
thought. That's why I looked at you like, oh,
That is
really? Is
creepy.
that what y'all gonna do?
Oh my God! Let's just wrap this up right
Please.
now.
Yeah, 'cause we all
Thank
need
you
to
for
leave
listening
this
to
house.
us. We catch you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks.
Bye.